Welcome. For God's sakes.
Go ahead.
Let's try that again. More silence. Silence. Welcome to the Twilight Lounge. I had to say that quickly.
Try it again.
Now you know why I had to say. No, I'm not gonna. That's gonna stay.
Come on, man. Give him a good intro.
All right. Welcome to the Twilight Lounge, where you will find us, the Jews, discussing: is it good for the Jews? Ladies and gentlemen, he is Eric Goldbrenner.
And I'm not disgusted.
I am Larry Rosen, and I have just spent a week going over all our old podcasts, and because of that, I've learned two things. First, I still may be a wanted man in San Luis Obispo County.
Yeah.
Because I completely forgot about Yank traffic school.
Now you got tape recordings to boot.
I went back to that one. I was like,
scofflaws.
Shoot, yeah. And two, I'm playing with my jacket, making the loudest nylon noises in the world right now.
That's good. It gives a little ambiance. It helps people know you're not robots.
I think over half of the podcasts begin with me saying I'm discombobulated.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to tell you I'm discombobulated today. However, I will tell you that the last 15 minutes have been a challenge.
Really?
It wasn't until I looked at the clock and saw 12:15 that I remembered I said 12:15, not 12:30. Right? Yeah. So let me tell you, San Francisco not a great place to be in a hurry. Because in a car, I don't know about on foot.
Yeah, in a car. Okay, there you go.
I mean, on foot, if you're doing kind of the streets of San Francisco, running after a perp, that might be cool. But in a car, no.
You get in a car to listen to music. I mean, you get in a car to listen to
You don't get in a car to get somewhere quickly.
No, if you want to get somewhere quickly, like you say, you go by foot, you go by bike.
And after I waited for the bus to take the left turn, and then I waited for the other bus to go straight so I could take a right turn, getting on the freeway, trying to make up a little time, I look in the back and I see what looks like a cop car back there, and that's when I was, hey, I may not be a wanted man only in San Luis Obispo County. If I get pulled over at any time and they go, hey, what happened to this ticket here?
Right. State of California, baby. Right.
Of course, this being San Francisco, it wasn't a real cop car. Someone had bought one and it was their beater car that was still painted cop colors.
Because you know what I find is, like, if a cop is following you, man, you got choices. If you want to get pulled over, produce your cell phone. Just, just look over your shoulder like you're looking at it, and that's it, you're busted. If you want him to drive by and ignore you, light up a joint. He's gone. All right, man.
I think we've discussed this before, that when I was a teenager, my first car was a flashy red convertible. Ooh. So I was, getting pulled over every week.
Right, by chicks, right?
No.
Hey, Larry, can you give me a ride?
Kind of like later with motorcycles, I realized, you know who's into flashy vehicles? Other guys.
Yeah, okay.
Anyways, I was getting pulled over by cops, so I've sort of had this...
Gay cops in uniform?
No.
Now tell me your story. Go ahead.
Not even car enthusiast cops, just cops going, what's this teenager doing driving this flashy red convertible? So I've sort of carried that with me. Like, every time I've seen a cop in my entire life, I think, oh, great, I'm going to get pulled over.
Right.
It wasn't until just recently that I realized, why would he pull me over?
Right.
Bald, middle-aged guy in a Volvo?
Well, Volvo, it's still not a hybrid.
That's true.
Like, I'm sorry, sir, I don't know if you got the recent memo, but Volvo's no longer an acceptable middle-aged car for Jewish San Francisco.
You need to discern between the actual police and the thought police. The thought police would pull me over, but the actual police don't care about a Volvo.
I didn't realize they were any different.
They have bigger fish to fry. Here's my water.
Oh, yeah.
Got to drink a lot of water. So, yeah, last 15 minutes, kind of a struggle. But here I am.
Well, I'm glad you made it.
I am.
It's 15 minutes here or there. There's no skin off my nose.
Good. And I actually thought you might not be back at exactly 12:15. I realized you might be back at 12:20. All right.
I like you and punctual.
Yeah, I'm usually very punctual. And you would have enjoyed watching me eating my homemade little falafel wrap that I had completed at 12:15.
Oh my God, I'm late. Was that like a Mideast commemorative sandwich? You couldn't have a cheese sandwich like?
No. Well, Thank you for giving me that great segue. No, the problem is that it's time to stop eating so much cheese.
Oh, really?
Yep. I know for purposes of this podcast, I am famously in shape.
Right. Larry's in good shape and he's vegetarian.
However, on Saturday, let me ask you this. Have you ever gone out on a Saturday, floated on a lake in a pontoon boat?
No.
Of course not. You're Jewish.
Right. Why the hell would I do that? What am I going to do on a boat? No, it's if I was still a beer drinker, it'd be another story. If I ran, drink a beer.
That's what you do, but it is sort of not a very Jewish activity.
No. Well, our Jewish activities, you put 1,000 people on a ship and you go sailing around, the
and you ask,
looking for a home.
Yeah, you ask, can we come in? And they say no.
Right. Okay.
No, so we did this with some friends of Sandra Bullock, because my friends? Who do we know, other than the king of real estate, who would know anything about floating around on a lake, drinking beer on a pontoon boat?
Ian Zimmerman.
I don't know Ian Zimmerman.
Well, he's the only one, so it's too bad. I'll have to introduce you guys.
What are his bona fides? Is he like a regular guy kind of guy?
He's a boater. He's a boatman.
Oh, he's a boater.
No, he's not. He's unusual. He is also he's also a badass tough guy, Jew. He's like 6.5 feet tall.
Wow.
And he owns a boat.
Okay,
doesn't fit the bill.
That's probably different, actually, from floating around on a pontoon boat, because that's like being a boater.
Oh no, he's the type of guy who's like, yeah, I'm going to go sail to Hawaii.
Yeah, my Uncle Jules was a boater.
Yeah.
No,
he's a yachtsman.
Yeah, kind of like a yachtsman.
Yeah.
No, this is just you rent the boat.
You're talking about Stowe Lake type of...
Not even, no. Lake Sonoma.
Really? Because your head is not aglow, so you must take
I was very careful, though, and this is all leading to one certain point, but attached to that point is that if I were to take my shirt off, you would see blotches, because I don't know, from freaking sunscreen?
Yeah, you need the spray on.
I use the spray on.
You can't reach to cover yourself with your own hands with the rub on.
Right, especially when you're as muscle bound as I am claimed to be.
Right, because I'm sure when you flex...
Right, I can only go so far.
The
this
skin
massive
stretches so much that whatever coverage you had is now...
Right, and like Big Jim, I popped the muscle band. No, my head was fine. I wore a hat most of the time. And lots of parts of my body are fine, but there's like circles here and there where I missed.
I was on Treasure Island. You'll notice I got a bit of a red neck here and the V-neck.
Oh yeah, well you went
like
V-neck.
The back of the neck, and then I got my hair trimmed, so I got this white band.
Oh yeah.
But whatever, we digress. I want to hear about the cheese problem.
I just thought this is so. Well, first of all, I was from the minute I was invited on this excursion until right this second, I knew I was going to talk about it on the podcast because I thought this is just such a not Jewish thing.
Yeah, right. What the hell am I doing on a boat?
It's crazy, and not even a boat. Like these are sort of makeshift barges. Like they have the pontoons underneath, and there's a surface, and there's some chairs and a little canopy, and you just go and you load up your coolers,
right? Of course.
And you get some food and lots of chips, that sort of thing. And then what you do is you ride around, you tie up somewhere, you get on a bunch of rafts, and then you just get in the rafts and you float around drinking beer.
What do you do for shade?
Oh, you don't do anything for shade.
How hot was it up there?
About 90. But you're in the water.
Why would you want to do that?
Because you're in the water a lot of the time. You dive into the water, you swim around.
All right, well, it sounds okay.
So you play your music as loud as you can, because across the lake is some kid in a speedboat playing top 40 country as loud as he can.
This is how we enjoy nature?
I don't think it's for enjoying nature. It's for enjoying each other, I think. That's the idea. You go with people you like.
Oh, and like, then you pick a fight with the other guy on the river that you don't like, and you drown out his music, and you get totally drunk, and
No, it's not like that at all. You just note his music quietly. Go, well, I may as well just turn mine down because I can't hear it anyway.
Your music sucks.
It's kind of like have you ever done, and I know the answer to this already. Have you ever done a houseboat for a weekend?
No, I've talked about it.
Like Lake Shasta houseboat.
I thought we'd have
that is a king of real estate type of thing you do. He's still got the white guy bona fides.
Yeah, that looks like a nice time to me because you can go indoors. You have a little kitchenette, you barbecue. It's like a little
sleep under the stars.
Right.
This is like that, only without the house part.
You're talking about going out on a barge. It sounds like, if you'll pardon me, very much like an Americana white trash type of thing. I'm imagining these guys in Louisiana.
There's some shrugging going on my side.
Yeah. I suppose you don't have to be white either, because I saw that Beast of the Southern Wild, and I'm thinking about the dude and his truck bed.
I heard it was very good.
Yeah, our hero in the movie has basically got a barge that he's fashioned out of a truck bed.
So it's more of
pontoons.
More of a economic level, socio-cultural thing than a...
Definitely American.
In fact, our group included, in addition to myself, 2 people of Indian extract, one Mexican guy.
Well, Indian Native American or India?
No, India.
Yeah. Well, they
because of course
they don't make anything out of anything there.
Well, they're all biotech people.
Right. Yeah, but still, you got the roots of 10 people on a motor scooter. Right? You ever see how people commute in India? 10 people on a motor scooter.
No, I have not. But the germ of the idea, I will say, came from someone from South Dakota, which just seems a little more appropriate. Anyways, I just want to say it was a great time, and more of us Jews should try something like that.
But somebody slipped you some bad cheese.
Nope. Here's what happened. Pictures came back. Me without a shirt. Not good. Really,
Why, were you
really not.
so white?
I forgot not to wear my pale, hairy fat suit that day, and the pictures were not good.
You saw yourself and you thought, "Oh my God, I'm fat."
Yes.
Really?
Oh yeah.
You don't look fat, Larry.
Here's
you
the
look
thing.
good, man. You look lean.
I'm at a point where I work out a lot, so with clothes on, hey, you look good. Clothes off,
Yeah, but who really sees you that often with clothes off?
Well, that's a good point, but.
Exactly. You are approaching 50, you know, and there's sort of an expectation that you
Well, I'll tell you what's going to happen now. I think I got about 20 pounds.
Teenage girls.
I'm curious, and just out of curiosity, I think,
yeah,
I'm going to lose 20 pounds and see if I still look like I'm wearing a hairy fat suit.
Didn't you, like, lose 20 pounds over the last couple of years?
I lost 35, but I think I gained back 15.
Oh, really?
So I'm going to lose 20.
Well, you were very thin for a point. I mean, you were like, you know, you didn't look like, now you look like a big dude.
Well, I don't want to look like a big dude anymore. I want to look like a thin guy, and I'm going to see if I can do it. Right. I want to see if I can do it. And unfortunately, there's no pictures of me without a shirt on during that period, so I want to know if, even at my best, it's a hopeless case.
No.
I just want to answer this question once and for all. Am I going to not wear a shirt in public or not?
I hear you.
It's a valid question, right?
I hear you, and I understand the role of cheese in, you know, building the gut.
Right, especially in my case, because I don't eat meat.
Right, you don't
a lot
eat
of times I'll substitute cheese.
And I could
I
could never really understand.
Oh, I love cheese.
I love cheese too. Cheese
Boy,
is great.
I love cheese.
Yeah, so listener at home, you gotta understand, you know, the enigma of my co-host here, Larry Rosen. Here is a vegetarian from San Francisco who refuses to eat vegetable matter and subsists on cheese. And if you bring up the subject of vegans and vegetarianism, he's going to rail against all those hippie politically correct freaks as if you're not one of them.
3 things.
What's going on here, man?
3 things. A, the listener of this show is my mother, so she already knows what you're talking about.
She understands. Okay.
B, I do eat vegetable matter, and in fact have expanded greatly my palate in the last 22 years. Unfortunately, having removed meat from that, I'm just as difficult as I always was.
Why don't you just eat the meat, Larry?
I just don't.
You're eating the cheese. The cheese is no healthier for you than the meat. The cheese is pure fat. You know, the meat is animal protein. You eat lean meats.
I think at this point,
you eat fish and stuff like that. And I guarantee
I don't eat fish.
No, I'm saying you should.
Oh, right. I think at this point, my vegetarianism is an OCD thing.
Oh, now that's shocking.
Yeah, really.
OCD, I never thought of you as being an OCD type
I'm not
of
that
person.
OCD, but I think in this case, the vegetarianism, I just can't do it. When I was a kid, I couldn't eat fish because it just grossed me out, the idea of it.
Well, it is gross. You ever see them in the wild? Freaky, weird old cold.
But meat, you know, no problem. And then when I first went vegetarian, I was still eating chicken and turkey. And then one day, I remember it clear as day, eating that chicken going, I'm eating a bird. And that was that. End of story. No more. Can't do it. I just, literally, I cannot.
Right, I'm eating a bird. It's true.
I could sit here and say, boy, I miss bacon. Bacon was awesome, but I could not eat a bite of bacon. It would gross me out. It would freak me out. Worse than gross me out.
Yeah.
And let me punctuate that with a drink of nice, healthy water.
Take a sip. So you're basically...
Number 3.
Oh, yeah.
Number 3, one of the most painful... No, I shouldn't say most. One of the painful things about being me is that I share interests and tastes in common with hippies.
I know. It
drives me freaking
hard time.
What's my dream? What is my dream? Owning a brew pub. What do hippies love? Brew pubs.
Yeah.
Even in Colorado. I do it in Colorado. I would hate everyone and myself, but that's unfortunately...
Yeah, but you know...
that to me is like living the good life, and there they are, freaking in their Tivas, telling me how great Lucinda Williams is, and she is great.
It's hard to acknowledge, you know, the commonality that binds us all together. I know you want to reject that and stand alone, be a man of one. You know, I'm
something we share in common, actually.
But the fact is, there are 2 intersecting circles: your circle and the hippie circle, and the intersection is
everything.
The point of vegetarianism.
But let me just say this:
and brew pub,
vegetarianism,
and San Franciscanism,
brew pubs, biodiesel would all be better if hippies didn't like them.
Yeah, right. I hear you. Well,
I would love to have a biodiesel car, but I won't do it because I don't want some hippie to go, yeah, that's great, man. Me too.
I hear you, man. Look, I just went out and bought a car, and you know, it's like we're faced with a choice. It's like between the electric hybrid, you know, biodiesel, natural gas, all that type of thing, little tiny smart car, or the car that my wife actually had to have, which is, you know, a semi-truck, mounted, gas guzzling thing designed to tow, a mobile home up a mountain.
But I thought there was a city ordinance that forbade the purchase of any car other than a Prius.
Well, we bought it in Colma,
you had to go to Colma to buy it,
We are near the city border, I mean...
Not only do you have to buy the Prius, you have to buy the factory-installed bumper sticker package as well.
Yeah. And you haven't noticed that we're, like, piling a bunch of brush and shrubs on the car when we park in our own driveway.
Nobody can see.
Yeah. I mean,
It's a sad,
what can I tell you?
Here's my last point about the pontoon boat, which was a blast. I would recommend it to anyone. Even guys who don't like to drink, just the floating around is really fun and really relaxing, and hanging out with people is really fun. You got to sometimes do these things. As aware as I was of the sort of irony and humor of being a Jew on a pontoon boat. The fat suit thing, this morning I get up, I go work out, I come home to take a shower, I look at myself in the mirror, I think, I don't look bad, blotchy, but not bad. I don't look like I'm wearing a pale, hairy fat suit in this mirror.
You're standing up, though.
But they say the camera doesn't lie. So
no, the camera lies. No, the camera lies.
So camera image, fat suit.
No.
Mirror image, no fat suit.
The camera lies, absolutely. The mirror lies. I mean, at a purely physical level, you're taking a three-dimensional being, and you're reflecting light off of him and projecting it onto a two-dimensional surface.
All I know is I could work out forever, and I would still. Well, we're gonna find out. And I would still look like I would still look like I was full of liquid.
You can't escape the fact that you're a stocky guy.
Right, I have Favreau body.
Right, you got
me, Favreau, Jimmy Kimmel. We could lose so much weight and still look
fat. Big shoulders, it's like big arms. You're a big guy.
No definition.
So you got a big a midriff around here. I understand that's the thing that you want to get rid of.
Right.
Everyone does.
Again, get rid of.
Okay. When you're standing up in front of the mirror and you're like holding your chest up and you're kind of striking a pose, you can turn some of that midriff into chest.
But that camera, boy, if you're on a freaking raft,
you're sitting on a raft,
reaching for your beer,
right? Eating a
kicking your leg,
quesadilla. So that gut's got to go somewhere. So it sits in your lap, and you don't like how that looks.
The whole bad. Anyway,
and then it's all white and it's glowing, and
right.
But that's not the real.
Maybe there is something to this electrolysis business. That wouldn't be such a bad thing. Which is funny because then earlier that day I saw my neighbor who's German and was like, "Are you growing a beard?" I said, "No, I just haven't shaved in like 5 days." I'm so jealous.
Right, 5 days. Like, I couldn't grow that in 5 months.
Right. I mean, you're jealous, really? I would trade places with you.
I shave twice a day and still have a shout out.
And everybody says something about it.
Yeah.
Which is why I don't shave at all anymore.
Yeah, you got a little shadow there.
Well,
it's good, because you shave your head, so with the
I think we're talking about I don't go all the way down. I use the clippers and I just go zoop. Yeah. So it's the same length. I'm like one of those cartoon faces. I could be a face right side up and upside down.
That's so much easier on your skin.
Oh, that's why I hated shaving. It's painful. Man. I wanted to get back to the mirror image versus photo thing because what I wanted to talk about in a more serious vein, but God, I hope not as serious as the last 3 because somebody asked me, your podcast, it's funny. I said, well, it was.
No, it used to be funny. Well,
stop being funny. What are we going to do? I don't want to talk about Gaza specifically today.
Well, God damn it! You know something?
But
that was a joke.
Here's something I thought about, and what we're going to talk about is the issue of our real selves versus our virtual selves here.
There's a difference?
Well, for those of us that leave the house, yes.
You meaning you?
No, meaning you don't leave the house. So you communicate virtually with most people.
Right,
yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, as you know, I read the comments. Mm-hmm. And because of that, in the last 3 weeks, my mood has gone up and down based on what I read people saying.
Because you're susceptible to other people's opinions?
Correct.
Okay.
And I was thinking about Facebook in particular, and the response of my Facebook friends to the situation in Gaza, I think, has been, for the most part, pleasantly surprising. Now, that may be because I already blocked everybody who popped off politically, and I was tired of it. The people likely to be outraged and angry on the other side, I don't really follow them anymore. I'm still friends
down to nothing but right-wing conservative Jewish friends?
No. Well, that's...
neocon Christians?
Here's the thing. Cut out the right-wing conservative part.
Yeah.
My Jewish friends, including some Jewish friends that we have in common who in the past have aired what I would consider not the most positive attitudes toward Israel, are all on board. So in this case, it almost seems like Facebook is good for the Jews, because Jews who wouldn't otherwise have been on board are posting stuff. And the people that are clicking like, even I've been posting stuff, which I hate.
Right.
But I feel like I got to do it.
It's hard not to get sucked in now.
Well, one, of course, was a passive-aggressive message to my neighbors. Here's where I stand. So just so you know.
Just so you know, here's where I stand, given that you put a Palestinian flag on the roof of your house, and I did nothing.
But just so you know.
I did consider, burning down your flag, put a swastika on your garage door, flying an Israeli flag off my house, flying an American flag. Didn't know what to do, brought it to the show, had no response, so instead I went on Facebook and posted what?
I posted that thing with the... was it the I'm done apologizing for Israel thing?
Oh, yeah. Rabbi Creditors.
Which was actually pretty lukewarm-ish. I mean, someone who doesn't like Israel could read it and go, all right, I understand what the guy's saying. Because he butters them up a little bit at the beginning. Anyways, I don't know if they took the bait or not, but...
why would you want to bait anyone in this environment?
I don't. That's true. That's a bad way to put it. I don't know if they got it and went, oh, okay, that's where he stands. Or if they knew that already and just went, oh, screw him, who cares? But... or said, what a great world that we can be friends and have all these different viewpoints. Anyways, what my point is...
the U.S. is probably the last place on earth where you can do that.
Yeah. I don't know how often it gets credit for that, but let's give it credit for that. My point is that I've always been fascinated, well, not always, because it's only been around for the last 8-9 years, the idea of the people's real-life personas and their online personas are always different.
Yeah.
And it's really kind of heartwarming to me right now that, is this the real them that's saying, okay, I'm behind Israel this time? Because there are people who weren't before.
Yeah.
And people who didn't say boo. The king of real estate never says boo, and all of a sudden, every day, he's got some new,
Oh, well, I know the king of real estate pretty well.
You know him better than me.
He says boo, and he doesn't mess around. He knows exactly where he stands.
But he usually doesn't go public with it.
Well, yeah. I mean, something, it's where I try to, I have a particular rule of engagement because...
Actually, I was going to bring it up because when we had our meeting to work on the website, which is coming soon, Mom. I've just seen it. It's awesome.
Right. Let's plug it.
All right. Take a little time to plug the new changes here at Is It Good for the Jews?
Right. So for those of you who don't know, Is It Good for the Jews was Larry's brilliant idea, and it started out sort of organically. We just started doing this podcast, and then Larry built the website and started posting these podcasts on YouTube. But we really wanted to take it mainstream, right? Go live and seek a broader audience. So we're redoing our website. We will release it soon. And we're going to soon be carried in iTunes and other podcast directories, which means subscribers will be able to, basically subscribe to the podcast.
Even people who don't know us, you can download it and listen to it 6 months later.
Right. Big move for us, and we hope to expand our audience, so plug the show.
It's our first step in world domination.
Yeah, well, world domination. Boy, you're ambitious.
Well, actually, all right, saving.
Hey, I'm down.
If not world domination, then at least a way to sell my book when it finally comes out.
Man, if I had world domination, I could manage. I could manage this world pretty good, but I would need complete control.
I totally would not have the energy.
Really?
I'd have to delegate almost everything.
Oh, yeah, you have to delegate.
Yeah.
That's why you need trusted crowds.
Or just let my wife do it.
Well, yeah, it's good to have a good
That wouldn't be world domination. That'd be world organization.
You'd be the decision maker, and you'd let her be the
carry out my nefarious plans in a very efficient and low-key manner.
So, rules of engagement. Shall we touch on that?
Because what I was going to point out as a side was that I didn't realize how much time you were spending looking at Facebook since this all began.
How do you know how much time I'm spending?
My experience with you when we were doing something else was when you weren't talking to us, you were on Facebook responding to people.
Yeah, well, we're in the heat at the moment.
At
that time. Here's a challenge I face. On Facebook, I don't only just have my friends and family. It's all the people I've known throughout my life, from high school, from the neighborhood, plus old colleagues and stuff. And so
some of them seem as outspoken as you.
Well, of course, everyone is, and everyone's got their opinions, and I recognize that, I hold a minority view. Hey, I've held a minority viewpoint my entire life.
Well, you were the head of the Zionist student organization at SFSU, which
Indeed I was.
is not a job I would wish on anyone.
That's right, where the president of the university was none other than Dr. Hatem Bazian, who's now, very prominent anti-Israel, pro-Palestine activist in the Bay Area at UC Berkeley. I respect the man. Shout out to my old nemesis Hatem. I respect you. I always have. I just don't agree. Okay?
Yeah.
So anyway, you know what? I also, when I was a youth, I was the only... A Ute in high school. I was the only kid in the high school who believed that you shouldn't bully the gays. You know, I was in the drama club. My friends were gay. I always knew gay people. I was a sensitive guy. I'm like, what the hell? You know, if you ever spend any time with gay folks, you'd actually come to the same realization as me that for the most part, you can't generalize, but for the most part, they're delightful people, and they all have a unique trait in common. Every single gay person I've ever known has had this one unique trait in common.
Which is?
They've taken a beating at least once in their life just because of what they are. And sometimes it's come from the people who should love them most. Their dads, their moms, their brothers, their best friends. So they really know what it is to be beaten up and ostracized for something that they really cannot
There's
control.
2 things about gay guys our age.
Yeah.
1, they've had to tell their parents something bigger than I ever had to tell my parents.
Yep.
And 2, they've been to way more funerals than I've been to.
Yeah. Ain't
like
that the
way,
truth?
way more funerals than I've been to.
So, you know, I mean, so for me, you know, that was like first lesson learned as a young man. What does it mean to really stand up for something and put yourself at risk for standing up for something that you really believe, you know, and what does that, how does that shape your character, and what does that say about your personal integrity? And what I learned in that experience is, you know what? You got to know how to defend yourself in this world. Because it's real good to stand up for something and say, this is what I believe, and like Martin Luther King or Gandhi even saying, I'm willing to take abuse for my position. But that should be a choice. You should really be willing.
So when you
shouldn't be without a choice where I cannot defend myself.
When you say defend yourself, what are you talking, sticks and stones or words? Or both?
Both.
Depending on the situation?
Right. Words is not defending yourself. Words is a debate.
I don't know, man.
No. Words don't matter how acrimonious it gets.
I've done some pretty nasty things to people using just words.
Yeah, well, there always comes a point in a conversation where
hits
people who
you.
really want to convince you right, they realize they're going to shut you up by hitting you with sticks and stones. And it's at that moment where you're making a choice. Do I want to be a pacifist and accept their violence in order to demonstrate my integrity?
Yeah.
Or do I want to defend myself?
Pardon me for a moment. I have to apply some real sticks.
And what I'm saying is, in the philosophy of self-defense, the philosophy of violence, you're not really a pacifist if you don't know how to defend yourself and if you don't have the means to defend yourself. You're really just a victim.
Okay, but we're talking about Facebook here. All you got's words.
Oh no, yeah, okay. Well, I was just.
And that's a good point,
the origin of
but that's
my,
a good point, though,
here.
because if that's your philosophy, how does that translate to virtual worlds?
Well, my philosophy now in the virtual world is this, where it's 2 different things. I was off on a tangent.
You would think a guy like me who punishes with words, this is my place.
Well, you know, you're a commentator, so, and you're a man of words, and that's how you operate. I
generally don't punish with words. My online, I think we've talked about this before, my online persona has no core. It's all quips.
Okay.
It's all quips. I will not. That's why it's been so weird for me to actually post this stuff. Because I will not ever engage in that. I'll make some joke.
I'll engage. Okay, I'll engage directly. And what I try to do is always to be on the side of the truth as I've experienced it. Okay? And a lot of what I hear and what I read on Facebook is not true. You know, and one of the main problems I have with the whole, you know, anti-Israel movement, and one of the reasons I believe that people that you wouldn't expect are getting behind Israel right now is because they recognize there's a disinformation campaign against Jews. And here's basically what it is. The Palestinians have a legitimate grievance with Zionists like me. I recognize, and the Israelis recognize, all the way up to Netanyahu, everyone recognizes the Palestinians have a legitimate grievance. And we're all pretty much aligned in saying there's only one way to reconcile our conflict, because we too have a legitimate case. So you got 2 sides with equal legitimacy, you know, in conflict. The only way to solve the problem is through negotiated settlement, an agreement. You know, you got to sit down and work it out. And if you can't do that and you choose to fight, the only option left to us is to win. So that's where we're at, okay? Now, when it comes down to how do I engage with people, I am no longer trying to convince people we're right.
Because
I'm trying
you know
to
that's
counter.
impossible.
That's right. No, but still,
people don't change their minds.
People don't change their minds. I'm simply trying to counter the disinformation, because what's happened is on the Palestinian side, the Arab side, the anti-Zionist, anti-Israel, anti-Semitic side, what they're doing is distorting history. They're manufacturing a new reality. They're telling lies, and they're trying to redefine the Israeli motives. They're trying to redefine the motivations of the Zionists so that Zionism and Israel and Judaism are no longer moral, and they're no longer just. They're now completely immoral from the get-go based on an unjust, immoral premise. And if they succeed at that, you'll have a whole generation of people who say the Zionists have no reason to exist. So do you think
people on Facebook are recognizing that, or are they recognizing really nasty tactics?
I think people are all over the map in what they recognize. I'm saying my job as an educated and informed person is try to correct the lies and the disinformation and maintain a level playing field. So here's an example. There's a disinformation campaign that says the Holocaust never happened.
Right.
Zionists manufactured the story to gain sympathy for their cause, which is what gave them the justification to steal the land of Palestine from its people. Let me ask you this.
Would you consider what I've noticed lately, which is an emphasis on everyone else that Hitler killed, to be a disinformation campaign? Do you know what I'm talking about? How now it's sure, 6 minutes, but also...
Right, they're trying to dilute...
And I would tell you that one of the first places I heard that theory was at our children's Jewish day school.
Well, I think, if you want to have intellectual honesty, you need to have it. I mean, that's true. 100 million people got killed in World War II.
No, they're talking just by the Nazis.
Right. Well,
in camps.
Okay, so, yes, this is part of the effort to dilute the Holocaust. Because our enemies are savvy.
I love that I get that at our Jewish school. That's
but they're not trying. No, they're not. But the thing is, at our Jewish school, they're not trying to dilute it. They're very clear in the education
curriculum, by the way.
Right. The curriculum is very clear. Many people died in the war, and the Nazis had many political enemies, and they also incarcerated other people besides Jews. However, the final solution was a Nazi enterprise to eliminate the Jews from Europe.
It was just an open house, so I didn't get to that part. But and I don't know Jack, but I thought it was really interesting that year they were going to state their stated goal was to teach it not as a Jewish experience, but as a universal experience.
As an objective. Well, there's two perspectives on that. I mean, all Holocaust education to a certain degree has been focused as a human, target at humanity and as a human experience, because if you make it just a Jewish experience, the only people who care are the ones who are sympathetic to the Jews. And if it's a human experience, it's like a wake-up call, like, hello, humanity, how base can we become? Well, if you build an entire industrial, system to move
disposal system.
Yeah, to move people to execution camps and dispose of their bodies using industrial methods, that's sort of the extreme of human inhumanity, that we've ever experienced.
It's pretty messed up.
Yeah, and here's the thing.
Just to sum it up.
The fact that today that the Palestinians and their supporters want to equate Israeli tactics with those
That's pretty offensive.
Nazi tactics. It's offensive to those of us who know the reality.
But it's
and that's what I try to counter.
Even me, not knowing a ton, I can go through, why do I do this? An article on Yahoo. I actually will be excited. Ooh, an article about Gaza on Yahoo. I can't wait to read the comments. Because I can comment back and they won't know who I am. Just the blanket untruths.
Yeah. I'll tell you why you
But wait, so is that just laziness, sloppiness? Because one guy said something about, well, it's in the IDF manual to aim at civilians. And I had to come well, you're just wrong.
Right, you're just wrong.
You don't read,
that's why you go to the IDF.org
I did. I gave him a nice little link.
Military doctrine of the IDF.
But it doesn't matter, because if there's one thing I've learned during any kind of flare-up over there, it's that people just don't care.
Well, that's fine.
They want to have their narrative. They want to follow their narrative. They don't want to get pushed off of that narrative.
That's fine. That's why Israel relies on having a strong army and not the goodwill of not this PC bullshit that says that, well, if we just educate the Palestinians and we educate the Arabs and give them a financial future and they had no desperation, they'd turn into nice guys and they'd stop trying to kill us.
But that's
because it's not true. It's nonsense.
No, but you're giving only part of the story, because one of the strengths... Okay, I'm not even going to use PC language. One of the reasons why I think Israel's better is because there's Israelis who disagree with you.
Right.
Which is why.
That's why America's better.
Right.
Because there is no central authority stamping down on the message and only allowing one side to speak and send one message. We have free communication. That's a foundation of a democratic society, and it does not exist in other parts of the world. We don't have to keep on the subject. I'm just saying that this... Look, I'll tell you why you like reading the comments. Why you get that little charge. Because when you read the comments, it reinforces everything that you believe inherently and unfortunately is true about the Jewish experience. There it is in black and white. Now, you've been told your whole life there's a thing called anti-Semitism, but you grew up in America where it really doesn't affect you because America is not by nature an anti-Semitic country.
Right.
And so it's hard to get your head wrapped around it. And now when you go to the comments and you see this lies that are being disseminated and this blind, rabid hatred, it actually helps you to understand, whoa, anti-Semitism really does exist. It's alive and well, and it's happening today. And Israel's just the excuse. It's just the catalyst.
It is a convenient thing for people.
If you took Israel out of existence, it no longer existed, then all that attention would be on the international bankers and the cabal of the Ernie Madoffs, you know, and Bernie, you know, and Goldman Sachs and all these other Jews
so they'd find that BS.
that run the economics of the world.
Well, people
and
generally
all the
throw that in
poverty,
too.
And the Koch brothers,
that gets a little bit
and
of play.
Sheldon Adelson and his money, who bought the American government, and they're war profiteers, and they're building this whole, you know, it doesn't matter. And then if those guys, and now, you know, you strip all those guys of their wealth and you knock down the whole Jewish aristocracy, as in quotes, and now Jews are laid low and we've been dispossessed. Once again, well, then it'll be the Jewish communists who are trying to infect, you know, the thinking of the people with all of their crazy ideas, you know, that we should accept homosexuality and that we should allow abortion, those Jewish doctor abortionists. You know, it's going to be one thing after the other. So I'm just saying, given that that's the reality of the world,
do you think it has
why not have a state with a strong army so we can defend ourselves? That's it.
That's
it. That's all I have to say. Go on, next subject. Next subject. That's the whole thing, man. It's simple for me. It's in a nutshell. It's simple.
Do you think if it was a different type of opponent, the attitudes would be different? If if
we're fighting England,
right?
Like
if Israel was fighting England,
yeah, it would be different. Of course it would, because with England, I mean, Israel fought England, or at least the Etzel fought in 1940. That's what my movie's about. 1948, Menachem Begin's troops, the Etzel, fought England and threw them out of Palestine.
And Mom Eric's movie, Indiegogo campaign is over?
It's over.
Okay, how'd it go?
It's good. You know, we raised a significant amount of money.
Okay.
We gained, support from a prestigious think tank, the Middle East Forum, which we're very happy to have their support.
Is that Daniel Pipes?
Daniel Pipes, indeed.
Okay.
You know, and it was good. Picked up a lot of followers from around the world in places I never even would have thought of. You know, we had more than 1,000 people comment on our video, which is really.
You know, it'd been really cool if you had a link to our podcast on there.
Well,
I'm a little late for that.
Right? No, I'm putting it all together.
Yeah.
I'm still building out my online persona. I have to get my own
your own online
website.
Persona.
It hasn't even come up yet. I mean, there's only so many hours in the day. As it is now, I owe like 100 people posters and T-shirts and other perks for supporting the campaign.
Oh yeah.
So I'm still working on that.
I think I went with a T-shirt myself.
Yeah. Are you large? Or
I am a large.
Well, you know, a lot of our supporters are extra large, so right there, you don't even have to.
They're wearing
you're
larger,
doing something right.
Larger, hairier fat suits.
That's right.
At one time, I was a medium. I was almost a medium.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm a medium.
Me being a medium. I was an XL at one point, too.
How could we ever be the same size? I mean, just like your bone structure is I mean, around the shoulders.
Well, you've got to weigh 50 pounds less than me.
I'm 160.
Okay, 40. I think right now I'm getting close to 200, which is not where I want to be.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, you're carrying it fine.
I'm carrying a lot. Probably have like knee problems eventually from carrying all this weight.
Yeah,
or I could just go for it. Maybe I should just go for it and be fat. Just be huge. You know? Grow the beard. Get the beard, be fat. If I was a genius, it would be all right, right?
Do you think, well, it would be all right if you can keep your wife, I'd say go for it. But I've seen your wife. and she's foxy, and she's smart, and she's on the ball, you probably want to, you know,
she probably wouldn't put up with
exert every single effort you can.
Well, actually, the real problem with me deciding to be super fat is I'd die pretty quickly.
We're all gonna die,
but I'd die pretty quickly.
Yeah, well, we don't want that.
I got bad cardiovascular genes. You know, got the
I
got the
understand
BP, got the heart issues. That was why I lost in the first.
Well, that's why you should get rid of the cheese, man. Because that's
but I love cheese. What if they take the cheese? If they take my cheese, what's left?
You know something?
I'll create an online persona where I eat all the cheese I want.
The cheese man. Yeah, I'll tell you. Last night we went out to eat, and afterwards Emma got Segunda, my second born, got a little chocolate milk boba tapioca drink. She's like, "Dad, taste this," and I took 2 sips, and I could say that's not going to agree with my stomach.
Oh.
Sure enough, I got stomach cramps, and then I made the foolish mistake of coming home and having cereal with milk.
Oh, you're having those things.
Yeah, and I'm realizing I've developed an intolerance
as you get older,
lactose.
Milk.
Yeah, and I've always drunk a lot of milk, ate a lot of cheese, ice cream. I love it all too. And it's just like now that I'm getting older, it's the milk. I can't.
One of the guys on the
milk.
One of the guys on the boat Saturday, he had to stop all lactose because it was screwing up his back of all things.
Yeah.
Thought he had back problems. Like, nope. It's crazy, and maybe my problem is that I actually, though I have multiple health issues, my stomach is not one of them.
Really, you know,
I can eat
everyone
anything.
our age is developing health issues.
Right. Well, they're just wear issues. Where people are talking about it. Are you that old?
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, man, I am so tired of walking in, and everyone's talking about what medications they're on and what their doctor said. And, you know, it's like, as far as I'm concerned, if you got health issues, keep them to yourself.
So would you say they're kvetching?
They're kvetching.
Ha! Check me out, throwing in a little Yiddish.
And if you believe that no one cares, you're right. No one cares.
Nobody cares about your problem.
I tell this to my kids all the time, you know. Daddy, I fell down, I got a splinter. I'm like, hey, buck up, kid, because no one cares. No one feels your pain. They feel their own pain. No one cares about you.
Which is why, as a migraine sufferer, it puts me in a difficult spot. I get a headache, it lasts for a year. After about a month or so, I'm tired of talking about it. But I want people to know I could be a more charming person were I not crippled by this headache. So no
one really expects much from you. I don't know.
If you bring it up, then people want to talk about. Oh, have you tried this? You should try this. Yes, I've tried everything. It just is. Yeah. This is just the way it is. I just want you to know that I could be a lot funnier, a lot more open and fun.
I got a headache right now.
You can't fix it. It just is.
It is what it is.
I'm not going to complain. I'm just explaining.
Right.
This is how it is.
But you know, something like 15% made up the stats.
Because if you do, some bum will tell me ultimately that it is lactol.
Yeah, there's always because someone.
Have you stopped eating chocolate?
You cut out wheat. You need to cut out gluten. It's like, yeah, sure. Look, I have this. You know, I got a hippie crew that I hang out with. I'm a musician, and I hang out with a bunch of hippies. We play music. You know, we do all the hippie dippy stuff, and beautiful people. Except I had this debate with one of my hippie colleagues. Hippie number one says, "Gosh, Eric, you know." I've got fleas in my apartment, and I can't get rid of them. I'm like, well, you got pets? He's like, yeah, I got, a dog and 2 cats. I'm like, and you live in like a 1-bedroom? I'm like, yeah. I said, well, here's what you need to do. Clear the animals out. They got to go to the vet and get a flea bath and stay at the vet overnight.
All kinds of
chemicals. And then you got to clear out every piece of fabric in your home and take it to the industrial laundry and wash it with flea-killing chemicals. And you need to get those bombs that you bomb in the house to kill fleas. And you need to set off. If it says use 1, you use 2. Okay, and you shut the windows and you tape the windows shut and you seal that place and you bomb it. Okay,
that is the nuclear option.
6 weeks later, you do the whole routine again, and you do that continuously every 6 weeks until those fleas are gone. Because you can't live with fleas because they've survived everything. They will kill you before you can kill them. Enter hippie number 2. You know, there's some organic. Hippie 2, shut up.
Tom's of Maine.
Yeah, Tom's of Maine cannot help you. Well, you know, those poisons are so bad for you, they cause cancer. I'm like, hippie number 2.
That'll work just about as well as that Tom's of Maine deodorant.
Of course it causes cancer in human beings. It has to cause cancer in human beings if you're going to kill the flea. Because you know why? The flea, because we have 1 generation every 30 years, and the flea has 1 generation every 30 days. That means the flea can adapt to whatever you throw at it 1,000 times faster than you. That's why there's now 100 million fleas in Hippie 1's apartment, And he's losing the war. You can't beat him with homeopathic remedies. You can't eat a garlic pill. You can't spray mint oil. You need to kill these guys and kill them good.
Now, I understand the thinking behind homeopathic remedies.
And homeopathic's fine in its place.
And I tried once because...
For your migraine?
Nope, this is pre-migraine. Sandra Bullock had a friend whose partner was like the big hotshot homeopathic doctor. So, all right, we'll try this. And then came allergy season.
Yeah.
And that was it. I was like, great. I feel exactly the same, except for when allergies show up. And then this stuff, these tinctures and this foul-smelling stuff is worthless. Please give me Claritin.
Yeah.
And that was
right.
that.
Oh, yeah. Because Claritin works, right?
Right. I get it. I get like, oh, we're just a chemistry project, and this is just adding or subtracting from the chemistry, but...
Well, look, it's... Okay, let's go back to our whole virtual persona thing on the subject.
Okay.
Okay, so just one point. I mean, the point you're making, I see where you're going with this. I'm not saying all homeopathy is garbage and all chiropractic is garbage, but the fact is, the hippy-dippy people who subscribe to this stuff want to poo-poo modern medicine and modern technology as if all that stuff will kill you, and it's only because the AMA and other medical organizations have a financial interest in selling you the stuff that you don't need, which is hogwash. Better living through technology, baby.
You better
Medical
believe it,
science
Monsanto,
knows how to address these problems.
And I haven't seen any studies that suggested hippies live longer.
Yeah, me neither.
I mean, didn't Steve Jobs die because he refused modern medicine?
Well, I don't know about that.
Something like that.
Yeah,
some kind of deal.
He's a sample size of one. You can't draw
Steve
conclusions.
McQueen too.
Can't draw conclusions looking at one or two.
Oh, I can. I can do whatever I want.
Well, I mean, I'm saying logically, rationally. The world
All I know is when I first got migraines, I went to that homeopath and she stuck a giant Q-tip up my nose.
Really?
And that was not pleasant.
That's okay. I turned 50. My doctor's like, I want to stick a giant tube up your ass.
Ugh.
I was like, hey, doc, let me make things clear for you. I tell you when I want you to probe me or look at something. I come in and tell you what's wrong and what I want you to do with it. And I expect you to answer my technical questions. I'm an educated person. I will make my choices, and then I will tell you what I want and what I don't want.
How do you like that?
He was cool. He was like, okay, I get it. I understand.
Did you do the back off man thing?
I'm like, don't give me that doctor's orders bit. I'll sock you in the mouth. Right? I'm like that guy from Breaking Bad where, the doctor's on my payroll and I come in all shot up and I tell you, patch me up, do this and that. I don't go for that whole, like I'm on the doctor's warranty plan and I drive into the doctor's office and he just does whatever he wants to keep me in fine running order and, writes me a note and I do it. It's like, no. That's for my grandpa's generation, I'll
probably do what they tell me. I got a problem with doctors.
Well, we're different.
I get really anxious around. I get so anxious around doctors that they always suggest anxiety drugs.
The white coat syndrome.
Total white coat syndrome.
Take that stuff. I mean, it's good to have. Just
because I get really anxious around doctors.
No, like you got all the meds, and then you go to a cocktail party and you trade with the chicks.
That's true.
It's like, look, I put on all this weight. I'm fat, but I got a bottle of Xanax.
Right.
So maybe we could work out some kind of arrangement. Watch Odie's,
remember
Sandy Bullock's and Basel.
The youthful days when I wrecked my motorcycle when I was like 25, and they gave me Vicodin, and I was like, no way, I'm not taking this. And I was telling the story to the bartender where I worked. He's like, oh, really? You got him still?
Right, you got Vicodin? Yeah, I mean, that's, I'll tell you, it's because guys don't do that. That's for chicks.
What, painkillers?
Chicks love pills.
Tell that to Brett Favre, man.
To who?
One of the many NFL players that get hooked on prescription drugs.
What do you expect? Look what those guys do to their body.
They hand that stuff out like candy, I guess.
Well, they should. I mean, I saw that guy on TV. Guy's playing football, and they break his leg right in half. Boom. And they expect, he's probably going to be out for months with that type of injury. I'm like, you broke that guy's like 7,000 pounds of men traveling 40 miles an hour crashed into his leg. Broke his leg in the wrong direction. You expect him to be playing next month? He's crippled. Never going to walk again.
Of course, the flip side is the World Cup where those soccer players, if someone comes within 10 feet of them, they fall back like they were shot.
Yeah, I thought that was just the style of the game. That's the style.
It's ingraining. I think there's a strategic reason for it. It has something to do with wasting time, like making the clock run down. I don't know.
I thought you were supposed to get a free shot when
I haven't
someone fouls you. You get a free shot.
They should suck it up.
Yeah.
Maybe not so much as football players, but that's kind of the big controversy right now is that some of the old guys, their bodies are breaking down at very young ages, and they're going, well, yeah, sure, they had big tubs of painkillers that you would just take. And so really, how were those prescribed?
You're suggesting that it's the drug addiction that's breaking them down and not all of the head-on collisions?
No, they're suggesting that they're suggesting that they would take painkillers, go out on the field at 50%, not 100%.
Oh, I see.
And then the guy at 100% would run into them,
right,
cause incredible damage, and then the painkiller would wear off and go, huh.
Yeah, well, are you supposed to play under the influence of drugs?
Well, they all always have. I don't know if that, not necessarily those kind of drugs, but there's other drugs that I knew guys in high school taking before games. They'll counteract the effects of the painkillers and get you nice and revved up.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, the fact is, if you want to grow a whole species of 400-pound men that could run 50 miles an hour, first thing you got to do is pump them up with hormones, which is start doing from day one. And then, you breed these superhuman-sized guys, and then when they start breaking things, you just shoot them up with all sorts of narcotics to keep
They
them
haven't
playing.
thought of that yet.
They crash their heads together, so they get spinal damage and brain injuries, and you expect them to go live healthy lives.
Well, they haven't thought of that yet. Maybe after this next wave, when the concussion issues make it so that nobody who doesn't have to play football doesn't play football.
Isn't that why soccer's getting popular now?
I don't know why soccer's getting popular now. It's not, actually. Soccer, until recently, I always heard that soccer had the highest incidence of concussions of any sport because of all the heading of the ball.
But how often do they actually head the ball?
Often. They do that all the time, man.
Yeah.
It's part of the game. Anyways.
I should point out, my dad was a pro soccer player.
That's right.
And we used to watch him play every weekend. And someone always got knocked out. Every game.
Really?
Yeah, and the Israelis, the Israeli team, when their guy got knocked out, they pick him up and they raise him over their head, they carry him, they extend their arms all the way over their head and carry him off the field.
Isn't that sort of
like 8 feet in the air like that. It's cool.
Isn't that sort of a post-crucifixion thing where they carry him like that?
Yeah.
Kind of a
you see, that's
thing?
how the Hamas always carries their martyrs around.
Oh, yeah, that's right. While everyone ululates around them.
Yeah.
And everybody's a martyr. Did you see...
that's more like what you call a human shield. So, like, if a rocket's coming down on them, they got their martyr there to shield the rest of the...
Do you know who Jake Tapper is? He's a news guy.
Yeah, I know that.
I've been following him on Twitter.
Know specifically who he is.
He's the only guy on Twitter, news guy I know, that actually posts stuff from both sides, like all the time. So everyone's mad at him constantly.
Right.
But he posted something yesterday.
A real journalist.
Right. It was 2 dead babies. It was a picture of 2 dead babies.
Yeah, that's gruesome.
That didn't die in Gaza, but had been sent out to the world.
Yeah, they was from
they were
Syria.
from Syria. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard about this, and of course the people on my side are quick to make, political hay out of it.
And the people on their side, the answer, as far as I can tell, is doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it both ways, but I can see it both ways.
Basically, I don't want to look at the picture of dead babies.
Well, sorry, you gotta look. Sorry, you gotta look because there's, hey man, I'm on a side and I understand there are consequences to my side's actions, and I'm willing to look at it all for what it is and digest that as a person, because only then can I really make a moral decision. If I ignore the actions of the Israel Defense Force, or if I try to put them in any other light, if I don't actually listen to the Palestinians and what they're saying and internalize what they're saying and really think it through, if I'm not doing that, then I'm not really being honest with myself. And then I feel when I go out and support Israel, as I do, I'm not really making a thoughtful, it's not thoughtful support, it's not with integrity, it's just a knee-jerk
and you got to have the
reaction.
whole story, because otherwise someone can catch you.
That too.
That's always been kind of my thing. Like, don't talk about it unless you know what you're talking about.
I counsel everyone on our side, and that's the pro-Israel Zionist Israeli side, just so in case anyone's confused by now. I always tell them the same thing: don't lose your humanity.
I would say
don't turn off your human response. When you see dead babies, those kids have got mothers.
Right.
And brothers and sisters and all that. I mean, you can't just write that off.
Well,
you asked for your human shield. I mean, you got to take that into account. And I believe
sort of
the Israelis
inhumane
do.
then to use those dead babies as a tool.
No, all's fair in love and war.
I don't know about that. But I want to be clear.
Let me just say this. Okay, you'll be clear in a second. I take all that into account, but in a time of war, and I know what side I'm on, and in a time of war, this is not the time to project any sort of weakness or sympathy for your enemy. We were considerate of our enemy before the war and reached out to them and tried to build bridges and all that. And we are actually running humanitarian missions to our enemy in the course of war. And after the war, we will continue to reach out to our enemy and do all that. But now that the war is on, you got to be steadfast. War is hell. And whatever we're doing to them, they'll do to us. They want to do it. That's why we're fighting the war. So, the reason people use the logic, the fact that Israel's winning the war is proof that they're bad, are idiots. It's irrational logic. They'd only be happy if those were Israeli babies. Well,
I've seen that in the comments.
Why would we let that happen?
Yeah, I've seen that in the comments.
Better you than me.
Are you one of those guys who read The Art of War?
Yes.
Okay.
I can't say I read it in its entirety and studied it. I'm familiar with the quips of Sun Tzu.
Sun Tzu.
Because I used to practice martial arts a little bit.
Oh yeah,
a little bit. Right.
I just wanted to be clear before you went on that rant that the side you're on,
wasn't a rant.
For people that don't understand clearly, the side you're on is Israel should exist.
Israel must exist.
Because the other side, though they may not know it, is Israel should not exist.
Hamas is very clear in their charter. They are not looking for peaceful coexistence with Israel. They're looking for destruction of Israel. And even more so, Hamas is a part of the global jihadist Islamic fundamentalist movement, which says that Jews must be subjugated throughout the world.
Just Jews or everyone?
Christians too.
Yeah.
But I'm a Jew. Okay.
Right.
What Israel's trying to do is appeal to the West and say, look, we have a common enemy here you don't recognize, but these guys are a threat to Christianity as well. But Christians understand there's so many of us and we're so well established and well armed, they can't take us. They're not a threat. We can take them. But Israel, sitting there in a scrap of land sandwiched between them and the sea,
well,
they can actually be knocked out.
I'll tell you what, this may be horribly naive, and this is an instance of me talking about something I don't know anything about, but for the life of me, the thing that always sticks in my craw, I don't understand why they get a pass. Why culturally they get a pass. They do so many horrible things. Why do they get a pass?
I have a theory on that. Well, there's many reasons, but one reason, one dynamic that is at play, and I think this is a critical dynamic to understand, is the story of the Mideast conflict captures the human imagination. It's fascinating because all of the kind of archetypal characters
are in play.
The Christians and the Jews, East and West. It's happening at the center of human civilization, which is Jerusalem. Okay, and it seems to be a morality tale. If you accept the Palestinian narrative, it seems to be a morality tale which says that all human beings are susceptible to the same sort of base, vulgar behaviors. Even the Jews, who have been so persecuted themselves, have really learned nothing from their experience.
They turned around and did it.
Given the opportunity, given power, they immediately turn around and become the oppressors. And that's a very powerful message that's captured the human imagination. That's what I believe is at play. And I believe it's malarkey, because Israel and the Jews are not oppressing or persecuting Palestinians for sport or out of cruelty. They are fighting in an act of self-defense to preserve our people from extinction.
People won't buy that.
Well, I don't care. That's why I'm ready to fight. I understand they won't buy it, and I don't care, because my sense of self-preservation is probably, my top sense,
I was hoping to get into a whole thing about how online personas allow us to be someone we're not, etc., and what that means to Jews versus anyone else. But we're out of time.
All right. Well,
and it's hard. It's Mom. It's hard right now to do the podcast because there's just nothing really to talk about other than what's going on in the Middle East, because it kind of dominates. But in closing, I want to tell you what goes on in my house.
All right.
This is a note I found this morning, addressed to me.
From
my child's room.
All right.
Dear Mr. Rosen, I'm currently very messy. Please leave me be for today. My caretaker will clean me upon his return. Okay. Sincerely, your son's room.
Very nice.
Just so you know what happens in my house, my child has been working for the last month, teaching little kids how to build stuff out of Legos.
Good practical skill.
But in terms of practical use around the house, that means a renewed interest in Legos that he hasn't touched in years around the house. Hey, I like these things. I'm going to build with them again. They're every freaking where. Which is fine unless you happen to be a short, dense, weird dog standing outside the room going, how come I can't go in there?
Right.
I'm going to stand here and bark all day. I opened the door for him and he looked at me like, are you kidding? Right. I can't get in there.
Right.
Well, that's why the door's closed, dog.
I see. So what you're saying is Junior doesn't understand the ramifications of his Lego initiative.
Nobody does, because I am the one home during the day. They don't have sympathy for that poor little dog.
Or you.
Oh, well, no.
Well, that's why you need to go out.
Yeah, that's why I get out of the house and you get to stay in.
Yeah. I just wallow in the mess around here. I just got used to it.
And what you were doing when you're staying in is posting lots of stuff on Facebook, which I, for one, appreciate. I always like your little posts.
Thank you.
Your online persona appeals to me.
Thank you.
Because you have a lot of the traits I lack, which is
big mouth,
purpose
instead of big midriff.
Right, big gut. You have purpose. You have seriousness. You have a point of view. I have none of those things online.
I try to not have a disconnect between my online persona and my real persona. I like to think that if you encounter me in person, I'm going to tell you exactly what I tell you online.
Well, as a wannabe writer of some kind, I'm really used to having many different get smart type doors between the outside and the inside.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, because have you ever had
a bully platform?
Well, if anyone actually read it, you mean?
The pen is mightier than the sword.
Right.
I'm hooked on. I'm still like figuring out how to work the sword.
Well, I don't know how you work the sword, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, well, let me tell you, you can do some damage with the sword.
And on that note, Mom, Kimmel, Sam, Mark Samuelson, who continues to comment every week on our YouTube channel.
Right on. We got to give him like some kind of gold member status.
I know. And again, the call goes out to Sam. Sam, we need you in here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I texted Sam.
Did you? Was he at a Giants game? Probably. All right. That's it for this week from the Twilight Lounge. Remember, iTunes coming very, very soon. Watch our Facebook page.
Yeah.
At is it / good for the Jews? I don't know, something like that.
All right. We'll plug it.
We'll let you know. That's it.
Out.
Up into the water, untie all the cables and rope, step onto the AstroTurf, get yourself a koozie, let's go. Who said anything about skiing?